Hello everyone, my name is Silvia and this is Tales from Pond, a book published by Tomolo International. Tales from Pond is my first book in English, written and illustrated by me and based on a story invented by Mr. Marzio Salatino. Tales from Pond is a story set in Tudor times and is about a French duck named Squeaker who one day is caught by the French king himself and brought to England to be cooked and served up to the English queen as France's most famous dish, duck à l'orange. Tales from Pond is a book against all forms of prejudice. It is also a story about courage and true friendship. And now, if you're curious to get into the story, I will read some passages. It was a cold and stormy night. The wind was howling and the waves of the English Channel had never been so high. 3 ships were struggling to reach the white cliffs of Dover. They belonged to the King of France, who was travelling to meet the Queen of England and sign a peace treaty. The ships were loaded with gifts that the king himself had chosen for the English queen. Precious jewels, fine clothes, tasty wine and a duck. Yes, a real duck, which the king himself had chased, caught and was now bringing to England for the English queen to sample France's most famous dish, le canard à l'orange. Our duck was a duck like no other. His name was Squeaker and he lived in a small pond near a tiny picturesque village in the region of Gascony. One day when he was out hunting, the king saw him swimming happily among the reeds and immediately said to himself, "That's the one." Everybody knows that French ducks and mallards' favourite treat is baguette with mustard. The king knew this too and placed a cage in the middle of the pond with a baguette and a jar of mustard inside. The delicious smell reached our dear Squeaker, who could not help but waddle inside the cage and eat as if drawn by an invisible force. And that's what happened. The cage door dropped shut and all of a sudden Squeaker found himself trapped behind the bars. He was very scared because he did not know what was going to happen to him. But the king was delighted, as he now had what he had longed for, a present to be for the English queen. After an arduous journey, the king's ship eventually reached England. Upon docking at Dover port, the ship's cargo, which included trunks and caskets, was first unloaded and then loaded back onto a carriage. Squeaker's cage was cautiously strapped onto a huge trunk and the royal delegation left for the royal palace. Squeaker tried to unlock the cage and flee, but all his efforts were in vain. He was very scared and could do nothing but sit and wait. From behind the bars, he saw a huge red-bricked palace far away in the distance. Apparently, that's where they were headed. Well, that was it. And I bet some of you are now curious to see if our dear Squeaker will escape his dreadful fate. Thanks for being with me. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day and see you. Tales from Pond.